This is Coach Atlee from the Jefferson Blue Jays, and you are listening to the Knuckleball Prime Time.
Hi, and welcome to the Knuckleball Prime Time. Live from the Barnes studio, you got the Mocs here, and I'm joined online right now with Coach Atlee of the Jefferson Blue Jays. Coach, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to be on the call this week. Parkland Sports Live will be on the call live in Park Hills as the Jefferson Blue Jays will take on the Central Rebels this Friday. You can catch all the coverage on the Parkland Podcast Facebook page and the Barn YouTube channel, and our coverage starts at 6:20. Coach, I know you're 1-0 right now. Had a game on Saturday. Tell us a little bit about the game.
Yeah, Saturday games always get us out of our comfort zone a little bit. So, that's always a hairy start for us. I think actually last year was our first ever Saturday win since I've been at Jefferson since 2015. So it's kind of nice to have that monkey off our back. And, we started slow. We knew week one there's going to be some growing pains. We got a lot of new people and new positions. And I think it took us almost 18 minutes till we finally got some points on the board. And then once we did, they kind of came in droves. I think we scored 5 touchdowns total. And they all came probably within, 12 minutes of game time, maybe not one specific quarter, but just second end of the first half and beginning part of the second.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to catch the game in person, but looking at the box score, it looks like what you're saying is, maybe a scoreless first quarter and then maybe a little bit of scoring, or maybe you were down 13-7 at the half and then come out firing after that. What was the change? Was it the old, go get them halftime speech, or what was the change there with the team?
It's kind of funny because, a lot of people said, like, what'd you say at halftime? I didn't say much. I say the stuff we always say, that we need to focus on being better versions of us, because we weren't doing that. We were doing making a lot of silly mistakes and putting ourselves in a bad position because we were moving the ball, and then we have a penalty or, a missed blocking assignment, and the next thing you know, we're in 3rd and long or 2nd and long. It's hard to dig out of those holes. And, you got to give credit to Priory. They had one big play that really – you got to give it to them as a great play call for what we had defensively. And, that's good stuff on their coaching staff. We made an adjustment, and then our kids kind of made the same mistakes. And we have to make sure we fix those things. And we did in the second half, and we were able to hold them to 3 points from that point on. And offensively, I think we just really started to click. Our O-line was kind of starting to get it figured out at that point. And, I think our depth helped a little bit because cramping was a big issue for them. So we just kind of kept being who we are, and we got better at it. And that's what we have to do.
Frisk seemed to have a really nice night, 75 yards on the ground with 2 TDs and 88 yards in the air. Tell us a little bit about his impact on the game.
Yeah, Cooper is a great kid. He's, I coached his brother last year, and Cooper stepped up in a lot of ways for us at slot receiver last year. And, moving into the quarterback role is tough. But, I was talking to even some kids today, and they said they were really impressed with the way he stepped up as a leader in that second half when we needed someone to pick us up. And I know Cooper was there, Carson Hafner were there, just to name a couple people. But, yeah, I'm very proud of the development Cooper has made. At one point over the summer, I kind of sat him down and said, hey, I'm thinking that maybe it's not the best route to have you at quarterback. And, as a team player, I didn't know what he would say, but he said something along the lines of, no, let's do this. We'll do what we need to do to get it done. And, that's what we did. And he was absolutely right, and he's done a great job so far.
And going back to last year, he's played several positions, right?
Yeah, he was a slot receiver / running back for us last year from our wing spot, and really did a really nice job for us as a sophomore.
With a week one game on Saturday, coaches and teams love a regimented schedule, and that throws things off a bit. What adjustments do you have to make now to, you're planning for practices this week, preparing for Central on Friday?
Yeah, it's a little different. The one thing that was kind of nice, and I talked to some people about it being week one Saturday game, is the kids aren't really in the routine of playing on Fridays. So it doesn't really throw that off yet. But then we come into this week, and even today, someone mentioned, well, we have a game a week early, a shorter week, and it's like, well, no, we have a normal week. It just kind of feels shorter because it was a little bit longer last week. Really doesn't change a whole lot for us. We just still prepare the same. We just had one extra day of kind of game planning and watching film last week than we did this week, so didn't change too much. Really just got to. I will say we're typically helmets on Tuesdays. We went shells today, so we did change that up a little bit. But outside of that, not too much else has changed.
With a nice win, 33-16 in week one, what can you take away from that win that will help you on Friday?
I think there's a lot of good things you can take away. One, we didn't know how we were going to respond as a team with a lot of new pieces in place. And it's really easy when you get down 13-0 at one point to kind of just call it, to realize things are hard. And that was never even a thought whatsoever. Not only was it not a thought, as soon as we went down 13-0, we went down and scored, and then we got the ball back and immediately did the same thing, and then got the ball back and immediately did the same thing. So it was really good to see the intensity ramp up when we realized we had our backs against the wall a little bit. So that was huge. And just the overall way the team meshed together was really nice to see. I know we got a lot of things we got to work on. This week we know we got to work on being more physical, and we got to work on being in better shape. And I think that's a problem with a lot of teams week one. But I know we're playing a very stout football team on Friday and a very, very good program, and we have to be sure we're at our best.
Been around a lot of coaches and talked to a lot of coaches, and that week one is always so important because you've been banging on each other all summer long. It gets tired. You get a little jamboree pre season scrimmage in maybe a little bit, but you don't ever see that full game speed. And what you're talking about, what I'm hearing, is the mental aspect of the game too. Seeing how your guys respond to adversity, because going down 13-0, it can be easy to check out at that point. Were you happy with the response there?
100%. That was one of the big things. We always tell our kids, we're going to put you in tough spots. Practice is going to be hard. And when it feels like it's going easy, we're going to do something to change things up, to put you in a bad spot, because we know things aren't always going to go our way. We're not always going to get a great call. The ball's not always going to bounce our way, whatever it may be. And we have to be willing to kind of put our egos aside and say, it doesn't really matter. We just have to keep going. So that is huge. Week ones are always, you're always happy when you come away with a week one win, because then you feel like you have the speed of the game underneath you a little bit, and you can kind of move forward from there.
We have the Central Rebels this Friday. Obviously state champs last year, but it's well known that they've graduated a ton of talent. But they come away with a week one win that was sort of odd with timing. They had to do some rescheduling. What are your early thoughts on the Central Rebels?
They did lose a lot of kids, but I mean, there's no secret about it. They're a great program. Coach Schweiss does a great job down there with those kids, and they're another good team this year. Maybe they have some different faces, but they're big, they're physical, they like to get after it. I know they have a quarterback, inside linebacker, who is just a stud of an athlete, that we have to make sure we're at our best to take him out of the game. They have a couple running backs, receivers, who are very good and very dynamic with the ball in their hands. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup. And that's what we talked about with our kids. It's going to be a test for where our program is at. And we're going to see if we're going to be ready to answer the call or not.
How important will the trenches be in this game?
Oh, I think I don't want to say they'll be everything, but I think they'll be very, very crucial. I know, I feel like we have a decent sized line. and I'd be willing to bet they are, a, I'll say, significantly bigger than us. They look big on film, and maybe the film adds some pounds, but they look like they got some big boys. But I think we have a good group up front, and we're going to see. That's kind of what we talked about the past 2 days. Is it's going to come down to who wants it more, who's got the bigger heart, who wants to get out there and just grind and get after it. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of see what's going to happen.
You mentioned the QB, Jones. He's a middle inside linebacker, Mike linebacker playing QB, could probably play most of the positions, but he's almost like a fullback playing quarterback, but can throw it as well. What are the plan on how to contain him?
Well, I don't know if there's a way to contain him. You just got to try to minimize the damage the best you can. When you got an athlete like that, it's hard to. You're not going to stop them from making their plays. You just got to minimize the damage the best as possible. I think the one thing we saw on our end is we have to do a better job of getting to the ball carrier, but not only getting there, but running our feet on contact. That's something he does very well. And if we don't do that, he's going to get a lot of tough yards. So we have to make sure we are rallying, running our feet, and just getting downhill. And if we're not doing that, we'll could be a long night.
The Rebels are notorious for not carrying a kicker on their squad. So there's a lot of times where you'll be facing 4 downs instead of 3. Does that change the mindset as far as the strategic game plan to defense, understanding that they might be working within 4 downs rather than 3?
Not really. I think one thing I've learned, especially my first couple of years and some of the close games we've had over the past 2 years, is field position has played such a huge part of that game. And I do, you can't ignore the analytics when you get 4 downs and your odds go up of converting that first down. That's all great, but we've also been put in several spots and where you go for it on 4th down, 4th and short, and you don't get it. And now they have the ball on the 30-yard line. That short field, you don't want to give that to anyone. I think it's hard to find a lot of teams in the state, or really most of high school football, who can continue to put together long, sustained drives. And so, we really want to focus on field position and eliminating those big plays. And we can do that. We could put ourselves in a decent position to be successful.
How much does time of control play into that? Running the ball, getting the first downs, not turning it over, not getting in positions where you're at 3rd and long and you're trying to do something maybe a little bit outside of your comfort zone. But, how important is controlling the ball?
I think it's going to be really important, especially this week. I know they like to run the ball. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know they ran the ball more than they threw it. And we were the same way on Friday. So, it's going to be probably a lot of running clocks. It's going to be, not very much stoppage, continuing to just pound and pound and pound. And, it's like we said earlier, it's going to be one in the trenches, and we're going to see who wants it more.
Is this a little bit of throwback to the old school, you think?
Maybe a little bit old school, because I think we're both going out of a lot of gun sets. So, but yeah, a lot of running, a lot of power football, I think.
Joined here with Coach Atley of the Jefferson Blue Jays. They will be in Park Hills at Central Rebel Field on Friday for week 2. Finally, Coach, talk a little bit further out. What are some of the goals that you have for the Blue Jays this year?
We have one goal in our program, and that's just develop a mentality of success in everything we do. We want to get that teamwork, that camaraderie. We want to work hard with everything we do. We want to do it together, and we want to do it for the community and for the people that support us. That's really what we focus on. We don't have any long-term goals like winning a district title or stuff like that. We believe that when we take care of that and we raise great young men, that those things will come. So that's what we continue to focus on.
Lastly, what do you have for what message do you have for the Blue Jays fans?
I'll see you guys Friday. Let's be loud.
Parkland Sports Live will be on the call live from Park Hills this Friday. You can catch the coverage on the Parkland Podcast Facebook page and the Barden YouTube channel. Coverage starts at 6:20. Coach, we'll see you when you get into town, and good luck this Friday.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.